You're listening to The Village Thrives, a podcast about parenting and community. If you like this episode, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Go on then, you know you want to. Hello. Welcome to The Village Thrives.
Yay. Hi, beautiful Donna. How are you? I love your hair pulled back, by the way.
Thank you. I've got a little side braid.
Yes, you look so pretty.
So you gorgeous girl. There's someone missing here today. Bradley.
Yes, our male counterpart. What did you call? I think last episode you said he was the vanilla to our two chocolate
Oreo
cookies. Yes,
The cream.
the vanilla cream is missing today, and we do miss him. But we're talking about boobies today, and so we just thought maybe it would get a little awkward
For him. Or maybe not. He's like, boobies? Count me in. We miss you, Bradley, and hopefully we will be seeing you next week. So Kristina, if you don't know by now, has written a memoir and also has a supporting podcast called She Believed, where she basically takes a chapter from the book and each episode in the podcast discusses that chapter. I mean, I have to say, Kristina, the energy you bring to just reading out some really tough things, some really fun things. I mean, you're a person with a very sunny nature anyway, but you hit some hard topics, heavy topics in your book.
Yeah.
And then you discuss that in the podcast, and you just have a way of, I felt like I felt you. It was heartfelt. It was moving. At the same time, you was able to lift the viewer, the listener up in a way that just made you laugh about something that could be, deemed as very heavy. So you have a talent, first of all. You need to do the audio reading of your book because you're so entertaining. Your voice is just delicious. It's just like, just your voice takes me on a journey. You're just like, oh my gosh, you've got a lot of contrast and, like I say, energy. It's beautiful. It's beautifully done.
My friend, thank you so much. You know how you jump into a project that maybe you're a little bit unsure about, or, am I doing the right thing? And so you just put it out into the world. And I did it totally and truly authentically to myself. And I'm like, oh gosh, I hope people like it. It's the people pleaser in me. So thank you. I just really appreciate that. Yeah. I went through a lot of hard things kind of really quickly, one right after the other. Writing was my way to process everything that I had gone through. And so I'm a writer by nature. I've been writing since I was very little and journaling since I was very little. And, I went in front of the camera because that's what I love to perform. But it all comes from a storytelling background, really. And so writing the memoir was my opportunity to kind of process what my life had been up to that point. And then because I love a microphone and I love a camera, I was like, I'm going to take my book and make a supplemental podcast. It's almost kind of like a coffee house reading, and so that's kind of where the two came to be. And so I'm so grateful for anybody who's listened, but especially you, Donna. I know how busy you are.
Oh, bless you. So sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
A cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
Really going back into your childhood and looking at some of the things that had affected you that was leading into present day experiences. So you didn't shy away from opening up and being vulnerable at all. And even though it seemed like there were moments where you were like, what am I doing? Why am I sharing this? I don't know, something guided you to just do it. It's all or nothing, basically. You went all or nothing.
I did. And I think the reason is because one of the topics that I covered was my imposter syndrome, right? Coming from not very much, coming from very little, rising, achieving my greatest dreams and success, and feeling like I was an imposter, right? Like I wasn't supposed to be there. And what I realized and like holding all of that information in and being afraid of being found out, that they might find out of who I really am. Well, now in my 40s, after everything I've gone through, I'm like, here's who I am. And I have nothing to be ashamed of. And I have nothing to be afraid of. And now, especially now, I just feel like this is my opportunity to not feel like an imposter because I'm telling you exactly who I am. I'm telling you exactly what I'm struggling with. All of the ups and the downs and the shame and the feelings of inadequacy and parts of my life that I wish I didn't happen but did, and now here I am in all my glory. Take it or leave it, and I'm going to feel good about that. And so now I feel like there's nothing for you to find out about.
You know what? It's a benefit to us that you're sharing, because today we do have a very, very special episode, because you will be talking about your breast cancer journey and how that affected you as a woman, you in a family environment, and you with your children.
As a mommy.
So hopefully you sharing your journey will help so many people.
For me, it gives it purpose. Like, I didn't go through all of that. And also, I'm a storyteller, and also, I'm a journalist, and also, I'm a public figure. Like, I didn't go through all of that so that I could keep that private. All of that kind of comes together in my life's purpose. And so, I did keep it really close to the heart, literally so close to my heart because it was my boob. But when I was going through it, but as soon as I was able to like come out of it, that I knew that in order for me to kind of process it, and so that it wouldn't be in vain, I had to share my experience. Because when bad things happen to people, it's the same story, right? We always hear it. I never thought it would happen to me. I never in a bazillion years would have thought breast cancer would have affected me, only because I didn't really know, and nobody in my family had breast cancer. I was fairly healthy. Everything that I knew about breast cancer didn't really fit the bill of who I was, right? And so even when I went in and for my mammogram and they detected something that was a little bit off, I would imagine most women would have been like terrified, like, oh my gosh. And for me, I was like, oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. I was the opposite of, is this something that I have to deal with? Because it just was so not top of mind. I'm like, oh, this won't happen to me. And then it does. And then you're like, wait, what? And so that's the message that I send to women all the time. Like, it can happen to anyone at any time.
What were your biggest fears in those early days?
I thought I was going to die. I thought I was not going to be around to be there for my kids. My biggest fear was from the second they told me was my children. That was like all I could think about. How am I supposed to leave them behind? And when I first got the diagnosis, even, it took some time for me to really like comprehend the magnitude of what was happening. And when my surgeon told me, if we don't get this out of you, it will kill you, I was like, wait, what? That's a possibility? That's not possible. And so my biggest fear was not being there for my kids. I don't even know that it was dying. It was not being there for my children.
And you had a
That's what
very
it was.
rare, you had a very rare
Yeah.
form of cancer, didn't you?
And that was also the scary part because it took so long to even get a diagnosis in the first place. They didn't know what it was. And so it took weeks before I finally found out that it was an angiosarcoma, which is not a typical breast cancer that is found in women. And because it was so rare, like 0.05% of women will get this kind of cancer. Because it was so rare, there was no like path. There was no like, okay, well, this is what we have to do. It was literally like, we're going to try this step and then see if that works. And then we're going to do this step. And so everything was just one step at a time. There was no clear cut path. I relied on my doctors, my team, their specialties. And yeah, it was super scary. And because it was so aggressive, that's the other part that I like stress to women is 1 year prior, 365 days prior, I had gone to get a mammogram and there was nothing there. And in 1 year, my cancer had grown to the size of a robin's egg. It happened that quickly. Had I missed my mammogram that year, which I put off for a few months, had I just been like, you know what, I'll get around to it next year, I don't know that I would be sitting here. And that is the God's honest truth.
So those 2 years from diagnosis, the 2 years following, you was in a daze. You couldn't remember what, like, half the conversations that the doctors were saying,
Yeah.
things that your husband said at times, like.
I did a documentary called Walking Through Molasses, and it was my breast cancer journey. And because I'm a journalist and a storyteller, I recorded everything, and I'm so glad that I did, because when I went back and watched it, none of it seemed familiar to me. I was like, I don't remember any of that happening. In fact, I watched it recently. It's been 2 years, and I watched it recently, and all of it still seemed so foreign to me, because I was walking through these kind of two different realities, right? Like, on the one hand, I'm mom, I'm going to work, I am potty training, I'm going to soccer practices. I'm trying to keep things as normal as I possibly can, because our kids were too young. We didn't want to share that information with them. And then also knowing that I'm walking around with something in my body that could potentially kill me. It was all very compartmentalized, which, is a survival instinct, but it was all hazy, and it was all slow motion movement for the entirety of that journey. And even after, as I was like, wait, what just happened? How did this all wait, what? And sometimes I find myself still sharing my story as if it happened to somebody else. I notice that I sometimes talk about it very matter of factly, and I think that's because I don't know that I ever really was in it during that time.
You said that you and your husband had decided you're not going to tell the boys, your
Mhm.
two boys. Tell me a bit more about that. Like, I guess I understand. I do understand why you made that decision. But for anyone who's listening, just explain how old your boys were at that time and why you decided not to tell them.
Yeah, so Sebastian was 3 and Mateo was 9. And Sebastian wouldn't really have understood anyway, but Mateo was in an age that we could have told him. But also knowing that Mateo is a very sensitive kid, for one, but also his popo, my father-in-law, his grandfather, died of cancer. That's what he knows about cancer, is that it kills people. It kills the people that we love. And at 9 years old, I wanted him to walk through life feeling life is good. I go to soccer practice. I have my friends. My parents are here to take care of me and love me. That's all I wanted him to know. And I've had friends who have shared the information with their kids. And I understand that. I would just caution to tell them what they need to know when they need to know it. So, for instance, we had decided that if I did have to go through chemo, my treatment was unilateral mastectomy. So I lost my right boob, and then radiation for 6 weeks. I didn't have to go through chemotherapy. If I did, and I was losing my hair and I was very sick, and there was a physical thing that they could see, we would have told them. But in that moment, we could keep things as normal as possible with no fear. And we wanted to maintain that for as long as possible. Now, we maintained that for 2.5 years because we've only just recently told them about what happened. But I was able to, they were just able to stay kids without cancer affecting their life that way, knowing that it was in their mommy.
So telling them more recently, Matteo being a bit older, did he say anything like, I knew something was going on? Because he obviously knew you had surgery. There were things that you couldn't hide.
Well, we were able to hide it because my sister-in-law came in to help us. He remembered when she came in to take care of them. While they were at school, I stayed in the room, or while they were at school, I came out. When they were home, I went into the room and rested and watched TV. They thought mommy was gone. They thought I was on a trip. So we were able to keep it a secret. And, there were times where, oh, mommy has an owie, or, I went to the doctor and he just needed to make sure that I was okay, and I'm okay. And which wasn't a lie anymore after I had my surgery. But recently, when we told them, the reason we told them is because we went to a couple of events where I was going to be talking about my experience with breast cancer. And I really wanted them to be there with me. I had to tell them first. And so Mateo was very confused at first. He was like, wait, when did that happen? How did that happen? Where was I? And after he saw clips of the documentary and actually what I had gone through, I could see that he was affected by it in that he was really proud of mommy. He was really proud of mommy. And he kept hugging me. And he just kept he would shake his head with a smile and then come in and give me a big hug. He's 12 years old. He's a tween now. And Sebastian didn't quite understand what it meant, but he felt the heaviness of it because he cried. And he was like, I don't know why I'm crying, mommy. And I'm like, mommy's good. And we really posted as a celebration. Mommy gets to share her story. I get to, I went through this really hard thing. And now, with the platform that I have, mommy gets to help other women. And this is what we do when we go through hard things. We turn it into something good. And so, we really tried to make it a positive experience, but also, telling them, hard things happen in life and it's what you kind of do with them afterwards that really makes the difference. And so,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I understand why parents tell them right off the bat, right? But I do feel like telling kids what they need to know when they need to know it, causing fear maybe before that fear is necessary. I think I think it's just be cautious about it first.
Pause, take a pause, which it can be hard in that moment when your whole world gets flipped upside down.
Yeah.
It can be very reactionary. You're coming from an emotional place. You're
Mhm.
scared. And
Mhm.
as you said, you were in a daze, right?
Mhm.
And so sometimes you're not even aware of what you're doing and what you're saying. And sometimes, just in life in general, we can look back and go, oh, in hindsight, I wish I'd done it like this. I should have done it like that. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But I think when you are part of a family, part of a unit, you have children, a partner, you know that this is now impacting them. Everything you're doing for yourself, you're like, hold on a minute, because I have to factor in as much as I have to, this is a journey for me. I have to heal. I have to get myself better because it's not just cancer. There's other illnesses and adversity and challenges that we'll face in life, period, with or without a family. But yes, if you have other people close to you that you're living with on a day-to-day basis, you have to be as aware as possible as to how
Yeah.
that can be impacting them. And that's not always easy.
Yeah, my father-in-law had cancer 4 times, and he always said when one person has cancer, the whole family has cancer, right? Everybody's walking through that journey. And I did have a great support system. So I'm not telling people not to share with people or not to share with their children. I just think it's important, especially when they're younger, really taking their naivete, their innocence, their fears already into consideration, right? Like mommy and daddy when they're little are superheroes, right? Nothing bad can happen to them. And just letting them hold on to that as long as possible, I think is super important.
Because it will be something they'll never forget, right? There's certain things
Right.
in our childhood we look back on and it's just, that was that moment. It seemed as though you held a lot in, as we've just discussed. You delayed telling the boys. I guess it's part of your personality as well, putting on a strong front,
For
brave
sure.
face.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. There was a part in the book where you explained you were home from the hospital after having your mastectomy, which you weren't expecting. It was at first a lumpectomy.
Right. And they said we have to go in there and take the whole thing.
They had to go back in because they hadn't, it had spread, so they weren't able to get it all out. So you go and have the mastectomy, you're home, and you decide, I'm going to go and take a shower. It's been long enough. I need to freshen up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is the first time that you're taking the bandages off, and your husband is with you. Gibby is with you, so you have someone there with you. Talk us through that moment where you have been holding it all in, but it sounds like it comes to a bit of a crescendo right here in this moment when you have the shower and you're taking off your bandages.
Yeah. I'm a person who I like to think of myself as resilient, right? I've been dealt a lot of really tough hands and I can do it and I can do it on my own and I'm very independent and I don't get vulnerable and I don't break down because I am so strong. And I had gone through this extremely scary situation and now part of my body is gone and life as I know it is completely turned upside down, and acknowledging what had just happened to my body in a physical sense, right? Like on the one hand, you have cancer that is in your body. You can't see it. But now having that physical manifestation of what cancer means, having a part of my body taken away, was so real and so I don't even know the word. It just made everything so real, and taking off the bandages and, really feeling like the bandages were still holding me together. They were like holding me,
Oh
all
gosh.
together. And then taking that off, it was literally like an injury that had not been healed yet. And taking that off was just like basically having the wound out, literally
Wow.
and figuratively. And so, yeah, I cried. I just broke down and cried. I couldn't look at my body. I couldn't come to terms with it. I was vulnerable and broken, um and it was awful. It was awful, awful, awful. And I barely, got in the shower before I got out and wrapped myself up again and like tried to put it all together. I was afraid that if I let go, if I like broke down, I wasn't going to be able to put the pieces back together again.
So your diagnosis up to the surgery, how
Mm-hmm.
long was that?
4 months.
4 months. It probably wasn't just those 4 months of tears and
Yeah.
emotion and stress and anxiety coming out. This is probably actually years
Years.
of stuff
Yes.
that
Of
you've
trauma
held
that
in.
I've held in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it was, I was literally and figuratively and metaphorically and spiritually completely naked and broken. And I needed to just mourn and grieve. And I just couldn't hold it. Your body can't hold on to that much trauma.
And I say that because I've listened to the podcast.
Yeah.
So I know that you've done years of brushing it off and,
Marching on.
marching on. So that's why I bring
Yeah.
that up, as that wasn't just those 4 months.
And I talk about this in the podcast and in the book. And that's really after the diagnosis. And then I lost my job. I was unemployed.
It's like, Kristina, how much can you take? You want some more? Okay,
Exactly.
I can do that for
Let's
you.
take away your complete career identity and financial security. Oh gosh, thanks. But it really was, it was like, I just need to sit down and like take everything that I've been compartmentalizing and putting in boxes and holding on tight to and pretending it doesn't exist. It's time to take inventory, take it all out. So each chapter is almost like unboxing another trauma, And so yeah, it was literally the thing that broke me wide open.
Wow.
I thought it was sobriety. I thought sobriety had broken me wide open, which is what had happened a year prior. I'd hit rock bottom. I came to terms with the drinking problem. I'm like, I am a mess with alcohol. And I thought that broke me open. That was just like one thing that was like leading up to this other thing. That breast cancer broke me wide open. Kristina, all of this trauma that you have held on to is manifesting into sickness. It's time to break you open. It's time to rebuild and take out the physical, literal cancer that is going to kill you, and the trauma cancer that is going to destroy you. And let's take it all out and let's start unpacking it and let's start going through it and let's start processing it and putting it in its right place and dealing with it. And that's what I did.
You have said that being diagnosed with cancer is possibly one of the best things
Isn't that
that's to have
crazy?
happened to you. And as you explain how you were broken open,
Mm-hmm.
as I don't think anyone wants to go through that. No one wants to be
Mm-mm.
broken open. Nobody
Mm-mm.
wants to dig deep.
No.
Nobody. Why? It's like, no, I'd rather forget that. I don't want to deal with that. That was in the past.
Right.
Once you've been broken open and there's heartbreaking and disorientating and it just completely throws your world off, you get the opportunity to grow and
Yeah.
change and transform and be born again. There's
Yeah.
opportunity to really think about, 1 minute, I was wearing all these jackets. It's not actually
Mhm.
me. This is all
Mhm.
the people pleaser jacket and the yes jacket and the
Mhm.
everything's fine jacket. And
Mhm.
ultimately, we then start realizing that we're being our true self to a degree, because
Mhm.
we're being true to the identity that we've chosen, we've built along the
Right.
way from our environment, right? So our
Yeah.
environment, our upbringing, all these things, we wear them, and it serves us well up to a certain point,
Mhm.
obviously. Otherwise, we'd stop doing those things. We think we'd stop doing the things that didn't serve us. But we don't always realize that a lot of the things we do don't serve us. And
Right.
sometimes we have to have something really traumatic, or
Mhm.
2 or 3 things traumatic,
Yeah.
to do that, to really wake you up and
Mhm.
just say, right, be you. And that
Yeah.
means you have to find out who you is. You're
Right.
stripped down and you're rebuilding. So I understand that some people may not, when they first hear you say it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me, being diagnosed with cancer. Some people might be like, what?
That sounds crazy. Having a piece
Yeah.
of your body taken away from you? What? That's crazy. Yeah, no, I say that knowing that it is a privilege to say that, because there are many people who have cancer, who get cancer, and who don't are not here to be able to say that. Right. So I recognize that also is a privilege. I am so grateful that I'm alive and able to say that. But no, it was the best thing that happened to me, because it broke me open. It made me look at life in a whole new way. The way I describe it is that life after breast cancer, the sky was bluer, the grass was greener, the moments that I had with people were truer, more authentic, and every day my life was so much more intentional. And it made me look at all of the things that I thought were important: career, money, ambition, and realize that that's not what's important in life, right? That's not what's important. And I would say this all the time before my surgery, and as I was going through this, I'm like, take all of that away. Take my career away, take the money, take the ambition, take the house, take everything, as long as I can be here with my boys. Right? Like that, then you realize, like, what are you willing to give up and what are you willing to hold on to? And then that's when you realize what is the most important thing in your life. And so that's why I say it was the most important thing. It made me let go of versions of me that weren't serving me anymore. It made me let go of parts of my fear and scarcity, and that I was like, why was I so, why was that so important? And those things are not important. They're just not the most important. And that's why it's been such a gift.
It sounds like you had a great medical team,
Mhm.
and Gibby, your husband, was just there
Mhm.
every step of the way. Who else showed up for you during this time? And, what surprised you in terms of the village that you had around you when you was going through this challenging time?
Well, that's what's interesting too about a village, is that you have to cultivate a village. I have spent most of my life feeling like I can do life on my own. I do not need help. I am fully independent. I can handle things on my own. If you say I can't do something, you watch me do it, and I will do it on my own, and I will do it in a pair of high heels. So what I realized, and what I continue to realize, is that you really have to cultivate a village. And I don't know that I had cultivated a great village. People came and showed up for me, and I was so grateful. But I also, during that time, was very much in this is the honest to God truth. When I first found out, I asked my husband, I was like, don't tell anybody. I got this. He's like, I don't got this. I have to tell somebody. I need people. I need support. And I was
Wow,
like,
yeah.
you can get your support. They don't need to call me. They don't need to like reach out. I got this. I barely told my mom. I told my sisters not to tell my, I was like, I do not need anyone. This is like trauma, right? This is trauma response. I don't need anybody. I got this. I can't be vulnerable. I can't ask for help. I've got it all on my own. That's trauma. That's survival instinct. And so afterwards, and I was so grateful for the people who did show up, who I let in just a little bit. But really, I didn't really tell people until after I had beat it. Isn't that crazy? I
Mm.
didn't share my documentary until after I was like, but see, I did it. I did it all on my
Wow.
own. What
Wow.
is that? What is that? What is that inside of me that's afraid to ask for help? And so now I'm like, I need a village. I need people. I need community. We're all made that way. And letting people in for me is still really hard, but I also recognize that that's fear and am really working towards moving past that. But of course, my family, my sister-in-law showed up and watched the boys, and I had people who brought over dinner for me and left, food in the fridge, and people that were praying for me and those kinds of things. And so, but isn't that something else? I was like, I don't need anybody. I got this. Kristina, you have breast cancer. You could die. It's okay. I got this.
Do you think there was a part of denial? Do you think you was in denial?
For sure. Yeah, I think there was that. I think telling people made it real. Yeah. And if I could just get through it as fast as possible and just like get on the other side, I'm like, oh, see, nothing happened. Nothing to see here.
It's interesting because, there's so many different varied degrees of sharing, of going through something, any challenging time. You are one extreme. I don't think I know many people like you who are like, I'm not telling anybody. On the other hand, you've got, the hypochondriac, like, I think I've got a splinter.
Is it cancer?
Quick. Do you know what I mean?
Can we start a meal train for my splinter? Please help me. Yeah.
But there are different degrees of how we feel about pain and challenges. Going through what you've been through, it sounds like you're more aware of building a community and having a village and letting people in. Um, do you feel like, I don't know, like you did say it's a bit uncomfortable for you, but are you seeing the benefits of, or reaping the benefits, seeing the benefits of being part of a village and having people you can call on and being open and vulnerable, um, in a way that you wasn't so much before?
Yes. And I think that is why the book and the podcast are so important to me, is because I have felt so closed off and so like, I've got this. I'm good. Everything's good. I am good. I am, that I'm like, I'm not good.
You obviously have a lot of people who have followed your career from
Mm-hmm.
E News to The List. And so there's people who are your family from
Right.
your work,
Right.
your work family, and people who have followed your career. People have seen you on the red carpet. They've seen you interviewing Brad Pitt and you're looking glamorous. And now you're seeing and finding out things behind the scenes. Yeah.
Right. The real part of me. And I think, yeah, that's a part of the healing and that's a part of the journey, which is I don't got it. I don't have it all together. I'm
And
actually
nobody does.
nobody does.
Nobody does. Let's
And
face
hearing
it.
from and hearing from people who's like, I feel the same way, or I didn't know that about you, or I never would have guessed, or thank you for being vulnerable. And I think there's certainly still a part of me that likes to be on this side, in control of the narrative, if you will, right? I have formed a community of sharing my experience, and I uh am so grateful to be vulnerable to people about my sobriety or about my drinking problem or about my breast cancer or about my imposter syndrome, and share those stories with other people. So that is definitely a part of the breaking open and saying I don't have it all together, and a part of the healing. And then hopefully reaching somebody who needs to be reached, maybe in that way.
Guerrero, Kristina Guerrero. This has been a pleasure. Guerrero means warrior.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that beautiful? Oh, lucky me.
You have lived up to your name. You are living up to your name, that's for sure. Do you have any advice that you would give to parents out there who are facing any hardship?
The thing that has really changed my life and my perspective on life is trusting in something greater than ourselves, right? Whether that's God, whether that's religion, whether that's meditation, prayer, Buddha, whatever. Trusting that there is something greater than ourselves and there is purpose. And that has been my lifeline. And so, as parents go through challenges and adversities, trusting in that, and then also trusting in the power of authenticity and sharing the struggles that you're going through. It doesn't have to be in a book or a podcast or but being honest with who you are and what you're going through is super helpful. Oh, can I just also say mammograms are so important. Taking care of our bodies is so important. It's especially as moms and dads and caretakers, good grief. We put everybody before ourselves, but we are not able to do that, take care of anybody, if we're not here, if we haven't been taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
I think of that all the time. Had I just not gone to that mammogram because life got in the way, right? And it's not going to happen to me. Oh man, like it can and it will, and we have to take care of ourselves. And if we don't do it for ourselves, consider it another way that you're taking care of your people, right? Like I think of like the reason I fought so hard in my sobriety and my healing and in breast cancer is for my family, is for my kids, because they deserve to have me here. And so if you don't do it for anything else than that, think of the people that love you.
I love you.
I love you, Donna. It's just, you're just so delightful. And your disposition, your heart, your love, your light, it has always just been so fun just knowing you. I mean, working with you, of course, but just knowing you has just been such a gift.
You are a gift. As I said earlier, just going through challenges as a human individual is enough. But when you're also going through that with others who rely on you and depend on you, that just takes everything to a whole other level, and the stakes are higher.
The stakes are higher. Right. Exactly. Think of your children. Think of your kids.
Well, we are going to leave this on a high note.
Let's do it.
I wish Bradley was here to do his dad jokes.
I'll give you some good jokes. This is what I told my mom when I first told her. I said, Mom, don't, I tell my mom and she's freaked out. Of course, this is what I tell my mom. I say, Mom, I have breast cancer, but it's not that big of a deal. That's what I tell her. I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's so fine that it's fine. Anyways, she's like confused because I'm telling her it's fine, but then she's hearing breast cancer and she knows I'm lying. And I said, you know what, Mom, I'm just going to keep you abreast of anything that happens from here on out. She's like, do you think that's funny? I'm like, yes, actually, I do think that's funny.
And on that note,
exactly.
Oh, sweetheart, do you know what? Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story. And it's been a pleasure. How's it been being the guest on our show?
So grateful.
You were the guest.
I know. I'm so grateful. I love being on your side, but it's also super empowering to just be like, I just can tell my story authentically and I have nothing to hide. That feels good.
Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us at The Village Thrives. And remember, parenting isn't meant to be done alone. When the village comes together and supports one another, we thrive. We'll see you next time.
The way you taught me how to love me when I didn't love myself. Way you grant my every wish like a well. The way you took the heat in Texas and cooked it into breakfast, paving the way for me to excel. And there you are back in the kitchen, making my favorites, doesn't get better than this. Oh, everything is precious when I'm in your presence. You make my world go round and round. Oh, every single second with you's another present. You lift me up when I'm feeling down. Life is so precious when you're around. Everything's precious when you're around.